Welcome to Talking with the Experts. Here we discuss all things business by business owners for business owners. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello, welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com.au. My guest today is Jeni Jonte, and we're going to be discussing the power of your mind and understanding that results that you are getting are originating from your thoughts and that you have the power and the ability to change your results by changing your thinking. Now, Jeni is a high-performance mindset and prosperity coach, helping entrepreneurs and sales professionals to 10x their business in 6 months. She has a background in physical therapy, which has been instrumental in helping her to really be able to listen to her clients and understand what they need in order to take the quantum leap to the next level. Jeni is passionate about serving and helping people, and this work has been the most fulfilling and rewarding to see what people are capable of doing and how they are able to amaze themselves. Utilizing top-level coaching and mentoring coupled with thinking into results, Jeni is able to help her clients to achieve their biggest goals that they thought were unreachable. Jeni, thank you for joining me here today on Talking with the Experts. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
So tell me what led you from, and a little bit in your biography did say, but let me dive deeper into why you went from being a physical therapist to being a coach.
Yeah, so I spent almost 16 years as a physical therapist, and although I enjoy the profession, I joined the patients, it just felt like there was always something missing. Like I wasn't able to fully help people on the deeper level that I knew that they needed. A lot of them would come with other issues besides just the physical, superficial things that I was able to help with. And through my own work of personal growth and development, I spent at least that same amount of time, probably at least 15 years of studying this topic for myself and getting like little bits of gains, but nothing too huge until somebody shared a Bob Proctor video with me. And then it was like all of the pieces came together, everything fit. It was the hugest aha moment. And I was, oh my gosh. So I just knew right away that this is what I needed to do. So it did not take me long to jump right in. It did take me a little bit to, get, fully let go of the physical therapy. I tried doing both for a while and just found it was too much, kind of struggling to keep up with all of that. And so once I finally did let that go, then it freed up so much more room to grow in this profession.
Right, that's interesting. Bob Proctor is so I don't know, he's profound in a lot of ways, isn't he?
Absolutely, yes. So that's how I actually got started. I joined the Proctor Gallagher Institute as a consultant. So I get all of my training through them and I get to utilize their programs along with my own with my clients. So it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, sounds like. So what no, let me say this. How can we
No
use our
worries.
minds to
Mhm.
get better results in our businesses?
Yes. So it's really amazing. You've probably heard the statistic before that the success that you get is 95% mindset and only 5% strategy. So when you really put that into perspective and think about just how essential and important our mindset is when it comes to the success that we're going to have in our business and how we can have those leaps, how we can jump from, maybe a 5% gain to a 25% gain instead and really make these huge progress. So it's so crucial and important to look at these pieces and make sure that all of that is in place because if it's not, then it doesn't matter what strategy you're doing, you're not going to get the results that you truly desire. So I know even for me, starting out, as I was still trying to work things out and I was listening to all the noise and everybody telling me, you got to do this strategy and this one and this, and I thought I could, I got to do it all. And, but I wasn't taking the time to do my own internal work. So once I did that, I was like, okay, now things are starting to make sense. Now it's becoming clear. And then now I'm more aligned with my goals, and then it all just starts to flow. So it's really beautiful. Once you get that piece taken care of, then all of the rest just falls into place.
Yeah, mindset is so important. And, when we have a negative mindset, which
Mhm.
in business or in life in general, it can just rule your life and take over everything. But once you flip the script and, get that positive mindset, sometimes, well, most often you're unstoppable and you can achieve those goals that you need to achieve. So how
Mhm.
can we, take that negative mindset and turn it around so that we start thinking those positive thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's multifaceted, right? So sometimes you'll hear people like, well, just think positive. And like, well, that's just one part of it. There's so many layers to it that we really have to uncover so that we become more aware. But as a token to that of your thoughts in general, as Bob would always say, your thoughts become things. And if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. So our thoughts are really, really important. And if you look at your present results and your present reality, this is just a manifestation of your past thoughts, your past thinking. So it not necessarily is going to dictate your future results unless you allow it to. So you have the power to start changing things, changing the way that you're thinking. But you've got to look at so many different layers. You've got to look at your belief system. You've got to look at your goals, make sure that you've set the right type of goals. You've got to look at your paradigms or your programming, your self-image, your attitude, your are you using your intellectual faculties? Like there's so many parts to it that all encompass the mindset. So it's really complicated. And this is why I think with my own research, I would learn a lot and I thought that I was doing good, but nothing really changed until I got my own mentor and realized what I was doing wrong, how I wasn't implementing things, and then it all started to improve.
Yeah, it can be a challenge to
hmm
think positive, and I don't really like that saying, because even if you think positive, you can still fall into a hole and not achieve the
hmm
things that you want to achieve. And you're right, past thoughts, they follow you around, and it's that little beastie in the back of your mind, that dictates your life, and
hmm
sometimes it's hard to let go of that. So, how can we set meaningful and specific big goals, and still maintain, that positive mindset, and don't go back to the negative?
Yeah, and that's a big question. So there's so many pieces to that. So what I teach people are the A, B, and C type goals. So first, you have to realize the purpose of a goal, right? It's not just to obtain things or just to get more money, but it's the growth that's attached to it as well. So you should be growing and improving and pulling things out of you that you didn't even know that you had as you're striving towards these goals. So if you set an A type goal, that's basically like a lateral move. So there's no growth attached to it. It's something you've done before, you know that you could do it again, and it's just repeating itself. So, like, for example, if you've made $10,000 a month, your goal is to make $10,000 a month again. You're not growing in order to do that. You're just maintaining. So then we have a B type where there's a little bit more growth. And it's kind of like, well, if I did this, this, and this, and everything lined up just right, then I think I could achieve this goal. And you have a plan, you know exactly how you think you can achieve it. Now we're stretching a little bit, but it's still not quite big enough. So the C type goal is where we really want to go. And that is like something huge, something you've never done before. You have no idea how you're going to be able to do it, but, and it should excite you and scare you at the same time. So when you're striving for something that's so big like that, there's going to be so much growth attached to it. And it's really beautiful when you can make that leap. Of course, the fear and everything else is going to come along with it. As long as you expect it, then you can work through it a lot more easily. But it is hard and there's a beautiful video by Earl Nightingale you've probably listened to, but The Strangest Secret, if the listeners haven't heard it before, I highly recommend it. But as he would say, once you set the goal, you write it out, you have it ready, it's already done. But resting in that belief, in that faith of knowing that it's already coming to you is probably one of the hardest things because we don't like
Mm,
to wait for that gestation period. So knowing it's
yeah.
coming, but I don't see it yet. So are you sure? So it's like,
Yeah, I'm one of those type of people that has a great idea and
Mhm.
leaps right in and don't and think about how I'm going to work out the details later. I don't spend a lot
That's
of time thinking.
beautiful.
And sometimes it can get me into a bit of trouble because I don't think about the consequences of the action or the thing that I want to do. So I you know I've recently emailed my past podcast guests, hoping I
Hmm.
to write a book about their interviews.
Uh-huh.
So I sent out a cold email and not detailing the or not outlining the details of the whole process. And so I got crickets. So then I sent out a second
Mm.
email, but it was too late because I'd already made the mistake of cold emailing them. And so, a lot of them just didn't take any notice of the second email, which was a disappointment to me because I didn't handle
Uh-huh.
it correctly. And that's what happens a lot of times that I find with other business owners is they jump in and get so excited about the concept of
Uh-huh.
what they want to do, and it falls flat because
Mm.
they haven't thought about the details about how they're going to achieve this particular goal. So for me, it was
Hmm.
right, and for others,
Yeah.
making that money or getting that house or getting more clients, and
Hmm.
jump in. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Have you found that in people that you've dealt with?
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of times maybe the timing wasn't quite right, or maybe the person wasn't quite ready to receive whatever it was that they were hoping to obtain. So like if somebody, is making $10,000 a month, they want to make that $50,000 a month. And they're doing all this action and they think that they're doing the right thing. But then when we start to really look at things deeper, because sometimes it's something in your subconscious mind you're not even aware of, consciously. You don't even know that it's there until you really start to pull these things out. So somewhere in there, there's a belief or there's something that is holding you back from being able to achieve whatever that goal is. And but at the same time, like that's beautiful to have this vision and to just start taking action because that's what you want to do. But we have to realize that even if we take action and it doesn't have the immediate effect that we hoped it would, that doesn't mean that that is still not the right goal. It just that means that maybe that wasn't the right method or maybe that wasn't the right time. And it doesn't mean that you should necessarily, poo-poo the goal altogether. So,
So,
so to continue to go for it and just learn from the process. So gather that information and say, okay, well, this wasn't quite right. What can I do to change that? What is a way that I can alter this? And taking your intuition as are working towards that goal and finding new ways to go after it and just listening as opportunities are presenting themselves to you and being aware of that so that you know what to jump in on. So I think that's probably one of the hardest things though, right? Because you get really excited or like, I don't know, a smaller example, like you spend all this time, you write this great social media post, you think it's going to be amazing, and then you put it out there and nobody says anything, it's like, so it's these little things that you can allow them to really push you back and think, okay, well, maybe this wasn't the right goal, or you can just learn from them and then use those to make changes in your strategies of how you're going to go after it next.
yeah, strategy is one of the most important things. I mean,
Hmm.
my strategy for writing the book wasn't the right strategy. So, for others, you have to have a plan, and it's all very good to have great ideas, but make sure you have a plan
Hmm.
first. And I think
Hmm.
that's really important. Now, we all have a paradigm and we all have a self-image, and but how can we um, use those paradigms and self-image to, reach the goals that we want to reach, and how do we accomplish them?
Yeah, so once you set these goals, your big C-type goal, so now there's a couple of ways, like practical exercises that I would have people start to figure out what their paradigms are, either around that goal specifically or around the idea. So if we stick with money, you could just write the word money down in the middle of a sheet of paper and circle it, and then start writing down all the thoughts that come to you when you think of money. So everything. It has to be positive, negative, whatever it is that comes to your mind. And then you'll start to, if you're really honest with yourself, that's the key when you do these exercises. You'll start to see these different things come out. And then you can start to understand where your programming is, what your paradigm is around money. Or you write out what your goal is, and then you start writing everything that you think about it. So if your goal was, for example, that $50,000 a month, you might think, wow, I would really love to achieve this. I could buy this house that I want. I could, help this charity that I really love. Oh, but I don't think I'm really worthy of that. Oh, am I being too greedy? Or is this like evil? Like so all of these different thoughts might pop into your mind, right? So this is where we have to start to understand where our programming is associated with that goal that we desire. Once you start to understand that, then we can start to build a new paradigm. So we don't necessarily change old ones, we just kind of kill them by malnourishment. And then we build the new ones around what we really want. And now the same idea kind of goes for self-image. So in a nutshell, what I typically have people do is to think about the person who has already achieved this goal, whatever that goal might be. What do they look like? Who do they hang around with? What type of life do they live? Where are they living? All of the things that are associated. What type of person are they? Are they generous? Are they get, all of this stuff. And you write out a self-image script as the person who's already achieved that, right? So now we want to become that person before we've even achieved the goal. So it takes some time to really dig into these things and understand what it is that you have to become in order for the goal to be achieved.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think, again, it's the mindset, the
Mhm.
shifting your mind, shifting your thinking so that you're thinking of more positive outcomes rather than all the things that could go wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, again, what Bob would always say was there's a great story, a 333 story. It's a beautiful little article, but these people wanted to raise $300,000 in 3 days for, and I can't remember what the other three was for, but it was for somebody. Like, I think a town had been damaged, but I don't know if you've read the story before. And so they're sitting in this room trying to figure out how to make this happen. And anytime that somebody would bring up an idea of why it couldn't happen, they immediately stopped them from talking and said, we will not entertain a single thought as to how it can't happen, only what we can do to make it happen. And so if you start to, play with that the same way for yourself, so you set this beautiful goal, like your goal of writing your book, and you never for a second entertain any thought of why it couldn't happen. So they're going to try to come in. That doubt, that worry, that anxiety, that fear, all of that stuff is going to try to come in. And you just have to say, no, I am going to do this. It's already done. And then just keep turning it back to what it is that you want it to do. So, and that is takes a lot of will and training.
Absolutely, yes. And sometimes it's a challenge to do that when there are other factors in your life that are having a negative impact upon your self-worth and your self-esteem,
Yes.
and to
Hmm.
try and maintain that positive outlook in your business can be really
Hmm.
difficult.
Yes, yes, it absolutely is. And that's why you need to find, so we always recommend like a mastermind group and just having people that you can surround yourself with so that share your vision, that share your drive, that understand your goal, and that are also striving for something themselves. So that together, when you have those other outside influences, which they're going to come, unfortunately, sometimes they're from the people in your immediate family, sometimes they're, just from outside the internet, whatever it might be, they're going to come. but how can we handle that? And, some days are going to be easier than others. But when you have the power of other people around you that share your vision and your goals and your energy, it's easy to then go to them and help you to stay in that higher frequency because it can be very challenging.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. Now, you can find Jeni on Facebook. You can also find her at her website at eliminate-impossible.com and bringonpossible.com. And do you have something that you'd like to share with our audience today? What's on your website
Yeah.
at Bring On Possible?
Oh, yes. So, well, two things mainly. So, any events that are coming up are going to be listed on that website, Bring On Possible. We're actually wrapping up currently a free 5-day challenge, which has been a lot of fun. And we do stuff like that all the time. So always look there for that. And then there's also a free book by Bob Proctor himself, You Were Born Rich, which is a great way to start getting your mind thinking in a new direction.
Wonderful. If you've got anything else you'd like to share today, Jeni?
No, just what I always love to say is that everything is possible, and all you have to do is believe.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. Jeni, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time.